Welcome to this EGU webinar on how to prepare for the EGU General Assembly. The webinar is recorded and will be uploaded to the EGU YouTube channel after this in next week, I'd say. We also have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So if you have any questions for us, then please enter your questions in the question box at the bottom of the screen, where you can also enter your question, but also upvote questions you think should be answered. So with that, I'll just start the webinar itself. We're going over three main key topics today. The first one addresses what is the European Geosciences Union, what is EGU. So we're going through what the union does, how it can support you, and also if you're an early career scientist, how you can also get involved. Then we'll be going over what you need to know about the General Assembly. This includes how to present, guidance on presenting at the General Assembly, logistics, as well as how to use the assembly program. And then finally, we'll be looking at the venue and navigation for both the conference center online and then the in-person details, as well as the virtual conference center. And then finally, information on just getting around Vienna as well. So before we dig deeper, I just want to introduce our speakers today. We have EGU Koj, who is the early career scientist representative for the geodesy division and has a research background in modeling geophysics. We have Simon Clark, who is me. I'm the projects manager for the European Geosciences Union in the executive office. We also have a background in research in climate science and risk, and also do science communication. We have Stephanie Kaboth-Ver, who is a professor in climate paleontology and is the early career scientist union representative for the coming year. So at the General Assembly, she'll step into the role and be representing early career scientists in union for next year. Moderating us a bit more in the background, but still important. We have Dan Evans, who's the current early career scientist representative and will be stepping down from the role at this General Assembly, who is a lecturer in soil sciences. And we have Maria Victoria, who is the early career scientist union representative for the next year, so from 2026. And they are a researcher in risk communication and disaster risk reduction. So to begin with, I want to ask the question of what is the European Geosciences Union? When most people say EGU, they probably think of the General Assembly, but it's not quite correct. EGU itself is an organization, a non-profit union of scientists. We exist all year round and we have activities all year round. Our biggest is certainly the General Assembly, which we have annually or in April or May. And it's the biggest meeting we organize. But we also have a lot of other activities and initiatives, including support for people, including funding, but also including volunteer activities for community building. So some numbers. EGU was actually established in 2002 with a union of two other organizations. We have over 20,000 members worldwide, and we cover 22 scientific divisions covering subjects such as historic climate, planetary sciences, also including ocean sciences, hydrology, etc. So a very broad choir of fields. We have 9 committees plus working groups, and these are cross-cutting committees that deal with things related to, for example, education or inclusion, or even science and policy. We also offer 26 medals and 28 awards, which give recognition across a diverse range of topics, and funding for many, many different initiatives. We'll get more into that soon. But first, just some information about how EGU works. We're a community or volunteer-led and bottom-up organization. So all the decisions are made by a council, which is run by volunteers. They make decisions on the direction of EGU, its overall management. The key ways you can contribute to these decision-making is through your scientific division. Each division has their own president, who sits on the council and votes on the council. So if you want EGU to particularly tackle something, but you think it's going in a particular direction that you want to support perhaps, or have feedback on, then whatever division you're part of, and you can be part of more than one division, of course, feedback to your president and contact them about what you think EGU should be doing, and then they can feedback to the council. There are also other ways that can help influence EGU. Each division also has an early career scientist representative, and they feedback to the Early Career Scientists Union representative who sits on the council. So that is currently Dan Evans, as I said, and will be Stephanie over next year. There are other ways the council is fed into as well. We have committees. As I said, these are cross-cutting components that tackle topics like publications, outreach, or awards. Again, volunteer-led. And then executive board, which is the president, the vice president, etc. And they overall make some of the key decisions, but all the key decisions are accountable to council and also must inform council. So everything goes to council, who approves how EGU runs. And over this side is our key staff in the executive office, which includes me. We're quite a big community, but executive office is actually a small component. But we oversee the general day-to-day running and development of the union. So what does EGU do? And this is where I'll start talking about how it can support you. We support and organize meetings and training schools. So this includes the General Assembly, but we also provide financial support for you to develop your own meetings. We have open access as well. So we have open access journals, which are peer-reviewed. We have EGU Sphere, which hosts preprints, for example. We also have open access media through Creative Commons images and videos for people to use in presentations, etc. We also have a wing that focuses more on the interface of science working with other areas. So, for example, that's outreach, where we try and engage the public or other scientists through blogs. We work with journalists through press releases. We try and engage decision makers through policy, teachers and children through school projects, school support, as well as career support for scientists through funding and training. And finally, of course, we have awards and medals, which again recognizes outstanding contributions, not just in research, but other areas as well, which I'll get into a little later. So just go through those 4 key areas quite quickly. Our meetings, yes, that is the General Assembly, which is, as I said, the biggest assembly we have, biggest meeting. But we also support conference series. These are regular meetings which drive development in particular fields. But perhaps more interesting to you are what we can fund in terms of Galileo conferences, where we fund up to €8,000 to run a particular conference, of which 5,000 of that 8,000 is dedicated to helping early career scientists. So as an early career scientist, if you're interested in hosting a meeting or running a meeting, or as part of a team especially, a good chunk of that money will be there to make sure that early career scientists who otherwise might need these experiences or networking opportunities more are absolutely a key part of any of those conferences. Focusing on the early career theme, we also offer training or funding for training for early career scientists. So if you want to get access to some scientific training, whatever it is, perhaps your institution doesn't have that training module or you can't access one, then you can apply for funding and we can fund that training school for you. So last year we had 15 of these ECS training schools funded. And we currently have applications open for intake of this year as well. So if you're an early career scientist and you want funding for a particular type of training, then apply for funding before the 14th of June. I suggest you do this as part of a team. Again, open access. So we have 19 open access peer-reviewed journals, which are two-stage, which include a public peer review and interactive public discussion. So we're very much about transparency and trying to make it as easy to access this scientific information as possible. We also have EGU Sphere, which is our repository for academic material. And this includes abstracts from conferences, also includes preprints, etc. If you're interested in experience publications, often there's editor posts that we ask people to join in. I think the Geoscience Communication Journal has a editor post open. These are volunteer posts. So if you want to get more experience in that, consider perhaps joining a publications team for one of our journals. Or if you want experience in editing, but you don't particularly want to become an editor and attain that position yet, we also have moderation roles as well. So if you want to moderate a preprint, for example, you can get experience in the publishing side of things via moderation, which is a bit less intensive than being a meditator, a editor, sorry. And we also have Imagio. This is our media repository. And basically, it's images and videos that you can take and use for anything. A presentation, a paper, a poster. It's Creative Commons license, which means it just needs attribution, but you can use it as much as you want. You can also contribute it by uploading your own images, perhaps from field work, study, lab work, whatever it is. And by uploading images, you can also enter the photo competition, which is an annual competition where the winner gets free registration for the next General Assembly. Now, entries for this year's competition is closed. They tend to open in the winter, perhaps around January. But you can now vote for the 25 winner. So go to the Imagio website, vote for the winner, and then they can also benefit from the competition as well. Going on to news and media, we have a lot of ways to try and keep people updated. Our EGU news service on our website, which is shown just here, covers a lot of these things. It has updates, opportunities in terms of experience, in terms of roles and funding. We also release press releases where we engage with journalists, particularly in press conferences, which we host at the General Assembly. We also have journal highlights, so particular articles that gain attention, we also highlight on our news as well. We also offer science media training. A lot of researchers don't particularly have much training in engaging with journalists. And there's always that fear of like, perhaps you'll be misinterpreted or something. So we actually have all our training, which includes videos, which includes blogs, writing, etc. Check out our toolkit here. So then you'll be more know what to expect when you engage with media regarding science. We also offer a fellowship, which we fund. This is more for budding science journalists than scientists, but scientists, of course, still sometimes jump from being a researcher into a journalist. So if you're interested in science journalism, we also fund a fellowship, which is up to 5,000 euros. And this basically supports journalists reporting on geoscience research. The call should be opening soon, within the next month or so. So keep an eye open for that if you're interested in that career path. We also do outreach. So these include, for example, blogs. These can be written by volunteers. If you want to contribute to the blogs, you want to write about a particular area of research, perhaps an opinion on how the state of things are in academia at the moment. Perhaps you want to review a journal. Perhaps you want to do a guide on, I don't know, how to edit a paper or how to attend a conference. You can write these blogs. You just need to message our media team. Just type in EGU blogs, you'll find a website, and you can contact people through the contact form there. We also offer mentoring schemes. Our biggest one is a General Assembly mentoring scheme, where someone who's been to the General Assembly a few times can also introduce someone to the General Assembly and make a bit of an easier process. The mentoring scheme closed about a month or so ago, so it's too late to join. But consider perhaps next year if you come to General Assembly again. We also partnered with the European Space Agency recently for a scheme. This is the second year we've done this scheme with them. So if you're interested in climate science, space sciences, but particular climate sciences, then you can apply for the ESA EGU scheme before the 11th of June. So you've got 2 months left to apply. Consider applying perhaps maybe after General Assembly if there's too much to go. But I think it's a really nice scheme we have with them. Simply you just have to type in the ESA EGU scheme. It's on the ESA's website. We also offer funding for outreach, so our public engagement grant, we fund a number of applicants up to €1,500. And this is basically to support public outreach, public communication. So that call will open in the summer. We have Geoscience Days, which is a much bigger public engagement topic. You have to be a team to apply for this, and you get up to €10,000 to organize a big public event related to the geosciences. And the calls open in the winter. We also have a teacher scientist pairing scheme. This is basically where you volunteer to work for a teacher who also volunteers together, and you develop a science-based teaching regime, let's say, for some children, and you can also interact with children virtually and stuff like that as you kind of discuss your science, and they can learn and also get excited about science. So it's really trying to about engaging with the children in a way that like really carves close to what the current science is. Now to get close to what EGU does for you, we have the science for policy side of things. We very much believe in evidence-based decision-making, that policy should be informed by scientific evidence. And so here we have an arm which kind of is dedicated to bridging the link between scientists and policymakers. So we have working groups and task force. Our most recent task force is the Climate Hazards Task Force, which I'll be co-chairing with our policy manager, Chloe Hill here. And we're basically working with members of EGU to kind of really gather together expertise to inform policymakers through policy briefs and consultations. Each scientific division has a policy officer as well, where again, it's a volunteer role as part of their team, but they help update their division members on policy activities, how they can make an impact. If you're interested in science and policy, I think it's worthwhile asking your division about these roles. Some divisions don't have roles, so perhaps this could be something you could create yourself with them. But certainly a good place to start if you're interested. We also have pairing and mentoring schemes dedicated to policy. So our big flagship one is the policy pairing scheme, where a successful applicant will spend a week in Brussels working with the advisory team of a member of the European Parliament. So you'll be directly involved in the decision-making process within the EU, within the EU Parliament, and you'll be able to understand how that process works, whilst also being able to contribute your expertise. And the call for that tends to start in the summer as well. We also had another pairing scheme with the Institute for European and Environmental Policy. This is currently ongoing, and depending on the success of that, we might have another one. There are a few ways to get involved. We do a science and policy newsletter, which is monthly. So if you're interested in these opportunities, give it a follow. You can find that on the EGU.eu website. We also do monthly virtual hangouts as well. Except for April, which is the General Assembly period. Every month, there's a science policy hangout where you can learn about science for policy from someone who invited to speak, whilst also networking with other people interested in the science for policy interface. For all this information on the above, you can also go to the website at egu.eu/policy. Coming to the end of these opportunities we do is our education wing. So we have Geoscience Information for Teachers, it's our flagship program. We basically fund teachers to have workshops with scientists. Our biggest one is at the General Assembly. So you might see teachers walking around or even presenting their information on how they interact with students about climate change, for example. So that's our flagship program of bringing scientists and teachers together. This also includes smaller events like training and full school support and workshops. But for yourself, we also have 3 funding opportunities you might be interested in. That includes, sorry, my video turned off for some reason. Anyway, that includes distinguished lectures, which is you can apply for funding for an expert to come to your university or research institution and provide a talk of up to, we provide funding for up to 1,500 euros. That includes travel costs, accommodation, etc. That call opens in May. So if you want to have a talk from a particular person you're interested in or your institute might be interested in, keep an eye out for that talk. We also offer a fellowship. So once a year in winter, we ask for early career scientists to work with our education committee in developing innovative education initiatives with EGU. And that is you get funding for 2,500 euros to do that. And we also offer a higher education teaching grant, which is where you produce university resources. So if you're a lecturer, for example, and want to produce resources for your university or institution, then pay attention to our newsletter, usually in winter. We can fund you up to 750 euros to produce a learning resource, which can help you in your education and your teaching. However, this also is put on our website as well, so other university educators can have access to these resources. So it's both for yourself and for the education community at EGU. And the final section, awards and medals. This will be touched on a bit later as well, but basically we do multiple to recognize the hard work you all do. We have one on union level and division level awards, which are medals which look at research, so outstanding research contributions. We have ones that are dedicated to early career scientists that look at, again, research contributions at union level and also division. And also if you produce a particularly good poster or have a PICO presentation, that will be awarded as well. We also have others that aren't focused on research or that looks at science communication, outreach, engagement, also science for policy. This could be research, but less focused on field-specific sciences. If you want to self-nominate for awards, or you know people who you think should be nominated for these awards, nominations are now open. So please nominate yourself or someone else by June the 15th. These are all community-driven. We have some awards committee that helps manage this, but we need the members, the EGU community, to nominate their people. So please consider nominating someone for an award. And that's me. I'll now move over to Stephanie, who will talk to you about early career scientist opportunities.
Thank you, Simon. So also hello for me. So let's go through a couple of things that particularly pertain to early career scientists. Simon touched on this a little bit before, so the word has fallen. So let me quickly give some definition to what an early career scientist is. We consider an early career scientist basically a student or a PhD candidate or even a practicing scientist like a postdoc if they have received their highest certificate, the highest degree within the past 7 years. This window, however, can be adapted considering family leave, you got a child, or you've been ill for some reason, or you had to do some army service like national services. These kind of things that can put a pause on your academic career are also considered when we look at that time frame. Generally, early career scientists really cater to people at the beginning, at the onset of the academic career. And we really try, and really important takeaway home message right from the start is almost every second person when you go to EGU that you'll meet there is an early career scientist, whether or not they're a master's student or PhD candidate or even a postdoc. About 61% of all the EGU members and a good chunk of them being at the General Assembly are early career scientists. So if you come to EGU as an early career scientist, let me assure you, you're not alone. Like almost half of everyone you will meet will be in the same position as you are. Next slide, please. Simon? Oh, perfect, thank you. So let's dive a little bit into basically how early career scientists participate in the EGU. One of the main pathways is really to attend the General Assembly and contribute with scientific talks or poster to the onset and to the framework of the General Assembly. But this contains a lot of very different things. So talking to other scientists, going to these networking events, engage in these great debates, go to the division meetings, also have your say as an early career scientist within the early career scientist forum. They're all different pathways on how early career scientists can participate in the EGU. The vast majorities are usually PhD candidates. That makes a huge chunk out of all the early career scientists that go to EGU, but particularly the networking events and the networking opportunities that come from presenting your excellent work at EGU is a really important tool that helps you to help yourself further your own career goals and go after the things you really want. It is also really important that something Simon said before, you can have really good connectivity through the EGU, for instance, also with journalists, which is sometimes really difficult and a fight to overcome. But EGU provides you a platform to basically do just that. It's also really noteworthy that there is a mentoring program in place. So if you go to EGU for the first time, you are able to sign up for this mentoring program. So you will have someone to talk to help you to navigate this extremely huge conference, which can be a bit daunting at first, but there are a lot of things in place to help you go through this week of the General Assembly as best as possible, which will also be spoken about in just a couple of minutes. Next slide, please. So, but there's more really, like you can change or you can modify the way EGU presents science and the kind of science that is getting represented there yourself by getting involved. And you can do this with a whole range of things. You can organize sessions within the EGU and short courses. So if you go to EGU and you're like, yeah, my science is not really here, you can propose a session for the next year and just put the science you want to see right where it needs to be in the program. So you can do that, you can develop your ideas and you can make them work for you within the EGU framework. You can organize social events, you can go have a drink at a pub with someone you always want to talk about, do that networking if you like. You can get involved in the with the outreach through the blogs, through the EGU sphere, which Simon introduced before that, through the social media channels like Blue Sky that EGU is participating in. And also you can become an early career scientist representative, just like Dan, just like Marvi, just like myself, on different levels, like on the division, which is EGU, or on the general EGU level, like Dan. So if you feel like you really want to go into this, you want to do more, really start talking to us at the EGU booth for the early career scientists, or go to your division meetings, talk to your representatives if you want to participate in the EGU even more than just showing your excellent scientific work. Next, please. So from a union representative level, we've been around for quite some while. As Simon said, Dan is he still acting union level representative. I'll be coming in after the General Assembly. Maria Vittoria will follow me afterwards from next year. And maybe you want to come into this role going in the next couple of years. So if that's something you want to do, this role is openly elected. Just like, for instance, the president of the EGU, also the early career scientist union representative is getting elected through the EGU community. So look out for the flyer, for the email flying around asking for the election to vote. And then you can just also submit yourself for this position. Next slide, please. So what we really want to do with the representative network is to make sure that the voices of the early career scientists are getting heard and that they're getting the support they need. Again, we make a huge chunk out of who's within the EGU network and who's going to this assembly. So as a consequence, the ECS representatives have meeting during the assembly, but we also have regular Zoom meetings throughout the year, trying to organize sessions, short courses, trying to organize campfires, trying to organize a kind of social event that gets people connected, that gets people talking, and that gets the possibility to also learn skills that you might otherwise don't have the access to. So we're really trying to keep an open communication going on. We provide workshops through this network. For instance, the last meeting we had was connected to a leadership workshop, for instance. So, and as a union rep, we also attend council, and it really is to put the voice of the early career scientists into the council to make sure that they're heard and that the needs and the wants from the early career scientists getting communicated in the best possible way. Next slide, please. So, as I said, we're everywhere basically. We are in the council, we are within the divisions, we are on the committees, we are on the executive office. So it's all about trying to take from the different topics where ECUS representatives are active, whether or not it's education or outreach, the policies, the General Assembly, the journals, the topical meetings, that we take this information, feed it back into the EGU structure, and then bring that feedback back so we can inform as best as possible about the early career scientists' needs and wants in order to shape EGU so it feeds us back the best possible things. Next slide, please. So we have within our network basically 5 working groups that more or less mirror the committees that exist anyway, but these are specifically focused on the needs and wants of the early career scientists, so life career wellness, the General Assembly in itself, outreach and communication, activities impact, and equality, diversity, and inclusion. So if you want to get involved with these kind of topics, please come to the booth through the week, please talk to us, and we are really happy to get more people on board to work on these really important topics. Yeah, one really important point also, kind of like adding to what Simon said, there is financial support going on to get early career scientists to the assembly, because it can be quite daunting. There are registration fee waivers, for instance, for virtual participants in case you can't attend in person, but also for on-site participation. There are travel grants and other like childcare support that are provided and that you as an early career scientist are specifically eligible for and you can apply for. Also, that might not help with the General Assembly this year, but if you're watching this, thinking about going maybe next year, please check out the supports and waiver section of the EGU and see if some of that can be applied to you. And if you need support with that, let us know. So also tying into what Simon said, there's a whole bunch of awards and medals that aim directly at recognizing scientific excellencies within the early career sciences network on a division level, on a union level, but not just for talks, but also for posters and for PICO awards. So there's a lot of availabilities of these kinds of medals and awards that can really help with your scientific career if that's what you're aiming for. And that can be the nomination process, as Simon said, is basically open. And please consider nominating someone you know or yourself with these kind of medals. So then what else does EGU offer? Basically webinars throughout the year that go from this very webinar to also how do you present or how to navigate the EGU. We have a couple of events at the General Assembly. You can see this on the right. That goes from the forum, which is on Thursday, where Dan and me and Simon will be in attendance. Yeah, you can have your say, but also other short courses that are listed here, like how to navigate EGU, how to get involved with EGU. But this goes even beyond that. There are short courses on skill set building, on communication, on career development that can really help you get ideas on how to develop your career further. Next one. Yes, and the last thing I really want you to kind of like keep an eye out for are the pop-up events. You can basically filter that in your calendar for the week. And this can pertain to a whole range of things, from outreach specifically to early career scientists events, but also to, let's say, social events or union-wide events. So you can't just put these pop-up networking events in your schedule to see that you're not missing anything you really want to do. And so keep really up to date, particularly with the things that pertain to early career scientists.
Okay, thank you, Steph. So digging deeper into the General Assembly, we'll just give you information on what you need to know, and this is regards to presenting and also in regards to navigating the program. So we'll start with presentations. First, there are three presentation types: orals, poster, and PICOs. Orals are what you could consider the traditional presentation, where there are 10 minutes to speak and you have slides to go through. Posters, I think, are fairly self-descriptive. You put up a landscape poster and you have a time block where you stand by a poster and people come to talk to you and you can network there. And PICOs are like a halfway between the two. It's a two-part presentation where you have 2 minutes to present, like basically advertise your work, and then you have time afterwards where people come over and you can go through slides on the screen, or like a virtual poster, but with slides. Both virtual and on-site attendance is possible. So this includes already if you're perhaps attending on-site, but perhaps one day you just want to stay in your hotel or something, you can still attend virtually as well. And the same with virtually, there is a conference center, a virtual conference center for you to explore and walk around, and we'll get to that later as well. The one key thing to keep in mind if you're doing any of these presentations is please make sure your presentation material is uploaded 24 hours before your session date. So this means please don't plan to work until the evening for the day before a presentation, because it will probably mean you've missed that 24-hour deadline. So please keep this deadline in mind. And this isn't just your presentation, but also supplementary material. And that means you can upload additional material. Maybe it's a video, maybe it's perhaps a manuscript or something, more notes, more slides, which help to support your presentation. And people can access the supplementary material, they can leave comments, they can have discussion, and this will be online for a few months after General Assembly, allowing people to have continued discussion. So one way you can continue that discussion is just say to people that it'll be available online after General Assembly if you want to return to it on our website. But just some key points to go through as we talk about presentations. With orals, it's a 10-minute slot, and that includes both 8 minutes of presentation and 2 minutes for questions. Please keep to your time, practice to keep that into that time. The question time isn't there for you to continue talking, it's there for to provoke discussion. If you eat into someone else's time, it's obviously a bit disrespectful, and also means people won't have discussion. If you do eat into your question time and have no time for discussion, it also isn't particularly the best look. People might think you're just there to kind of talk about your work rather than actually engage in discussion, which is what we hope to do. So please stick to your time, practice keeping within that time. If we do end up running out of time, these things can happen. The best advice I can give is please finish the point you're on and then focus on finishing on the final slide and stick a landing. Don't try and rush through it, unless you're probably quite close to the end maybe, but ideally just finish your final point, go to the end slide, and on your end slide should be the key message, 1, maybe 3 points you want people to learn from your presentation and take home, as well as a contact point. So advice from seeing many of these presentations and doing them my own and presenting my own research, keep to your time limit and make sure you have a final slide to finish on every time, with your contact details and the highlights of your work. Also note these are hybrid conferences, especially with General Assembly, which means basically use your microphone. A lot of people think they can just talk really loudly to the audience, but it kind of ignores 3 things. Firstly, people will be watching online and they need you to speak in a microphone for unable to hear what's going on. Also, for people who have hearing impairments, a microphone really helps as well. And finally, even if people in your front row might hear you because you have a loud and booming voice, people towards the back will hear you less because it echoes, right? So please always use the microphone. If you're attending virtually, please use a headset like this I'm wearing. That's external to your computer. This means it captures your voice at a higher quality and also excludes any environmental or ambient sound around you. Please check your internet connection before you present so you know where the best place to connect is, and also find a quiet place just to avoid interruption, to avoid all that environmental distraction and noise. Make sure there's no lights behind you. If there's the sun is behind you, if there's a light behind you, it's very blinding. And also it kind of reduces you to a silhouette. So people can't really see your face and engage with you. So make sure there's no light sources behind you, perhaps in front and one to the side. And if you're presenting virtually, please make sure to log into the EGU25.eu platform before. You will see the link to your virtual presentation pop up by your session on a program about 15 minutes before. I've had people panic before. I got one message a couple of years ago about someone panicking saying they couldn't find their login for their session. Where was it? It just turns out they haven't logged into onto the website. So please make sure you logged in to avoid any of that additional stress and panic. If you're attending virtually, log into the website, find your session, and then that login button will appear about 15 minutes before. Poster presentations, there are about 4 time blocks for poster presentations, and you'll see there's a few activities you need to engage in. So firstly, we have on-site display times. This is when you need to put your poster up. Then you have attendance time, which is where you should be attending. This is when people can meet you, network with you. If you don't show up for this, it's very frustrating for people who want to talk to you about your research because they want to talk for your poster, but also you'll be classed as a no-show and your abstract will be withdrawn from the program. So please make sure you attend your posters. Afterwards, there'll be a period to take them down. If they're not taken down by the end of this transition period, so for the morning time blocks, that's 1:30, they'll be discarded by the conference assistants. So if you don't want to bring your poster home, you could just leave it up. I'll be thrown away. If you want to keep it, please make sure you keep it, take it down. Finally, if you're presenting a poster online, you will always be presenting in time block 3. So from 2 to 3:45 in the afternoon, you'll always be presenting then. Yes, and I think that's it for the time blocks. General advice or poster, please use landscape. We have the maximum width and height. This is on the EGU25 website as well. Just look for the guidance on poster presentations. I have seen people use portrait before, but it looks really awkward because the boards are landscape. So please make sure it's landscape. There is an in-person printing service available. These are for online orders only, with the pickup in the entrance hall. So you can pick up the poster that's printed in the on site, but you have to order online. And also, if you're taking part in the Outstanding Student Poster and PICO Awards, please make sure you download the QR code from your abstract and add it to the poster. That should be also on the website. But even if you're not part of the OSPP Awards, you can still download the abstract QR codes and add it to your poster anyway, so people can link your poster to what is shown on the program. So virtual posters, again, I generally advise you to follow the suggestions for example, landscape, etc., in the physical one. But as a virtual poster, you do have some more flexibility. But just remember, most people's screens are also landscape. So just keep that in mind. Your poster is displayed for the full day. You don't have to attend for the full day. Again, you only attend during this period. And you attend by accessing the virtual conference center, where you can walk around, find your poster, and you just stand by the poster to talk to people, not just virtually, but also people online on the site can talk to you by either going to vPoster spots, which are basically the same spots where we do Pico presentations. So they have interactive screens with microphones where they can talk to you. Navigating is fairly intuitive. We're going to touch on that later, but basically there are different halls online as well where you can walk to, and the halls will match with your poster designation as well. For example, you have like perhaps hall X3, so you go to that room on the main floor. There's only one floor as well, which makes it easier than a physical one. And then you navigate to your poster designation, which is X311. So X3 is usually the room it's in, and then the number of the poster is here. This is also the same for in-person posters as well. So it'll give you the hall and location, and then it'll give you the poster number. Presentations, so finally the PICOs. As I said, these are a presentation in two parts, the 2-minute spoken section, and then a touchscreen discussion after. A key thing is, although it's a presentation in two parts, make sure the presentations are in one file when you submit it. And make sure you kind of consider how you're going to present as well. For the oral section, advise perhaps maximum 3 slides. I think ideally 1 slide. It's 2 minutes, and you really want people to kind of soak in what that key message is. This also includes perhaps a video, but also note that your voice competes with reading, uses the same part of the brain. So the more information you have in the slide, less attention will be paid to your voice. And with 2 minutes, you really want to kind of make sure that that's emphasized. So keep it short and sweet. And again, for the touchscreen presentations, it uses 16:9 dimensions. So again, focus on the landscape presentation. Again, this information is all on the EGU25 website. General guidance for presentations. Let people know if photography is allowed. You can download these from the EGU25 website. It just lets people know that if they want to take a picture for later, maybe to read over again, or if they want to share with colleagues, if that's allowed. If not, maybe your research is still in the early days, it's still progressing, you're not ready to share yet. Please also make sure you include a sharing is not permitted. This is for posters, this is for PICOs, this is for spoken orals. Please check if it's also colorblind friendly. There are guidance and also tools you can use on the EGU25 website, or that are linked to on the EGU25 website, which help you with this. The easy way is just turn a figure or graphic black and white, and if you can't distinguish different parts of it, then it's probably not colorblind friendly. And also general advice, less is more, focus on bullet points over paragraphs and complete sentences. Use large font sizes, such as 24 plus, so people can read it from a distance. This is posters and presentations, oral presentations. Simplify figures. Figures in papers and manuscripts tend to be very information dense, but people won't spend that much time reading it for any of these types of presentations. So be sure to simplify, less labels, for example, perhaps one short caption, which tells about its relevance to the research. And also be sure to use negative or empty space, which is all this white stuff. It helps to provide emphasis for sections, but also it helps the eyes to rest. If there's a lot of long text, it's quite overwhelming. So be sure to use empty space to kind of give emphasis and make it easier to read. Finally, there's some more advice on how you can present, but goes more in depth than I've done here. So last week we had a webinar on how to present at a scientific conference. This is now published on our YouTube channel. So look at the EGU YouTube channel, find this for more in-depth guidance on presentations, oral presentations. And if you want to find more information about, for example, the upload dates, how you should go approaching as a presenter attending EGU, again, our YouTube channel has a guide for our presenters as well. So please check out the YouTube channel for both of those videos. Finally, personal program. I think it's pretty accessible. You'll go onto the EGU25 website, select program, log in, and then you can browse by the day and time. varies by the type of session you want, or even by a program group. Maybe you want to see what great debates are on, or what short courses you are to upskill yourself, or what networking events are on, or even the community-led pop-up networking events. The best way, I think, and the easiest way is to build your program. So you, next to each session or oral presentation or whatever it is, you can press a star to add it to your program. If there's something you really can't miss, or perhaps you're organizing yourself, double-click it to make it a red star to give that extra emphasis. But I think this is one of the easiest ways to get everything together and not get lost in a General Assembly. As was mentioned by Steph, you can also organize your own pop-up networking events. So you go to pop-up networking events, and if there's perhaps you want to have a discussion after a presentation, perhaps you want to have a networking event, perhaps you just want to go a walk around the park and you don't want to do that alone. You can organize the pop-up networking events. You'll also find division and early career scientists icebreaker events here. So be sure to check them out or organize your own. And they all appear on the program. And finally, please include breaks. My first time as a researcher presenting at EGU, I want to see everything. I listed everything, but I end up getting a little bit fried by Wednesday. So schedule your breaks in. It sounds like simple advice, but often if you don't schedule your breaks, you won't take them. Be easy on yourself. You're not going to see everything, so don't expect yourself to see everything. You need to rest well to work well. The same here, you need to rest well in order to process all this information and engage. Finally, this will be launched soon. I think next week is the EGU25 app. It makes things a lot more easier. You can download it for iOS, for Android, and pretty much condenses everything I've been talking about. So you can search the program, visit or build your own personal program, check for the venue maps so you don't get lost and know where each room is. Read the daily newsletter, which has key highlights and key events going on, key sessions, as well as your QR code. So when you want to pick up your badge, you can just show it on your phone. It's much easier than trying to find it in the email. So that'll be launched, I think, next week. It usually is launched 2 weeks before the General Assembly, so it'll become very soon. And with that, we'll go on to the next section with Oku. Thank you.
Hello. I'll talk about the practicalities. I remember how overwhelming and confusing to navigate around the conference center when I first joined the General Assembly. So I will take you through the basics. Next slide, please. If you're coming by plane to reach the city center, you can take one of these 3 options. You can either take the city airport train or airport shuttle bus or the Railjet. From the station that you arrive, you can take the public transportation. Same goes as well as for the train. If you're coming by train, you will arrive to the main train station. From there, you can take the public transportation to reach your accommodation or to the conference center, which is on the U1 metro line. Then you can get off at Kaisermühlen to reach ACB, where the conference center is. Your badges also passes as a free transport ticket during the week. But this only starts from Monday. So if you're arriving on Sunday or during the week to get to the conference center, you have to buy a ticket. Once you have the ticket, you can use the public transportation without the need of buying anything. For connection, you can either use Google Maps or you can check the Vienna Linen, and that will give you the information that you need, basically. Next slide, please. Then here on the left, you can see the conference center. On the left-hand side, you see the building. Here you can pick up your badges. And most of the sessions are going to be in the right-hand side. And at the ACV, we have 5 floors. It can be a bit confusing, but you can download the floor plans and you can navigate from there easily. I can remember clearly how I was like when I first joined EGU, I was like a headless chicken running up and down. So I would definitely suggest you to download the floor plans. You can either use the QR code, or you can go and reach that floor plan over EGU25 website. And when the app is available, you can download it from the EGU25 app. Next slide, please. Okay. On each floor, we have some facilities. So on each floor, we have restrooms, but on this specific hallway, we have 2 all-gender restrooms on the back corridor. And on left and right wing of the center, we have the accessible restrooms along the corridors. The whole center is step-free accessible, so you can take the elevator, or there are also lifts, so you can use any of these options. Another quick, yes, okay. At the entrance, you can see the EGU info point. Here you can find the person of trust in case you need. It is available from Monday to Friday throughout the whole time. A private is reserved to the person of trust, so you can have a private chance to talk to the issue to the person of trust. Next slide, please. Majority of our facilities are actually in the purple level, so on level -2. We have here the quiet rooms, family rooms, childcare, multiplayer rooms, rooms for press and job interviews. We have job panels and EGU booth. So in case you need to have a breather, you can use the quiet rooms. If you are attending EGU with your family, your carer, your child, then you can use the childcare if you have signed up, or you can use the family rooms. And close to the poster hall, we have the job spot, so there will be a panel where you can display the job openings, or you can just stop by over there. In the poster hall, at the bottom part, basically here, we have the EGU booth. We will have an ECS booth here, so you can pop up and say hi. We can talk, you can ask your questions and have a look in general. Next slide, please. We also are virtual, as EGU is a hybrid conference. We use GatherTown as the main platform, and you can access GatherTown on EGU25 website. Here you can basically connect to people like in real life. Your audio and video connects once you approach to the people and fades out when you walk away. You can use the arrows, or basically the game control structure. Let the WASD letter keys to walk, and you can interact with the objects around you by pressing X. And I will be exactly using this as I'm not joining EGU on site. Next slide, please. So this year we have some new lanyards to make interaction a bit easier. EGU is offering a range of alternative lanyards that you can choose if you need. If you prefer. This indicates your need to be offered a seat, or a need for people to talk more slowly with you, or indicating that you have a hidden disability. You can ask for these lanyards at the name badge pickup point. Next slide, please. There is one thing that you need to be careful. You need to pay attention. EGU has some rules and code of conduct. Please be respectful follow the professional and respectful conduct of all attendees. Bullying, harassment, intimidation, and discrimination of any kind will not be tolerated. So if you witness or experience any kind of misconduct, bullying, harassment, or discrimination, please report this behavior to the to the person of trust. You can contact the person of trust at the EGU info point, or you can simply send an email. This is also valid for virtual attendees. Next slide, please. There's more information on the geolog blog post if you like to check. So in the conference center, we have some options, but it is not that much, so it is very much limited. That's why you should definitely check out the available options around within the ACV in the surrounding area. We have some options, but this is not just in it, so you can just simply take the metro and go to the nearby station and find something there. This is something that you might end up doing if we have so many attendees and so many we don't have so many options, so there are always a sort of queue. So where to stay in Vienna in case you haven't booked your accommodation. I hope you did, because it gets really expensive towards the conference time. But for the future, you could stay in the circle. So again, the conference center is at Kaisermühlen station. So you could stay in the city center or a bit northern part. You can even go a bit further, as there is an S-Bahn, and basically then you can have more options and cheaper options. Next slide, please. We know that EGU is quite dense. There's too much to follow, so you might need a bit of guidance. For that, to keep up with GA, you could sign up to EGU Today newsletter. This is quite easy. Either you can do this on your profile, or you can just read this QR code and subscribe. This will show you the main highlights, but mostly the union-wide activities. You could also check out mailing lists and so on. We will come to that point in a minute for division-wide activities or highlights. Next slide, please. Other than the EGU Today newsletter, you could always keep up with what's going on EGU website, or you can sign up to the general newsletter. But the majority of division level and ECS specific news are going through division mailing lists, which we will just show in a minute. Next slide, please. So you can sign up to the mailing list by first logging into your EGU account. Click, please. Then from here and from your user area, at the bottom, you can see the manage your mailing list subscriptions. From here, you can choose which division mailing list you want to sign up. But please remember that division list is the general one, and we also have the ECS division list that you can sign up. There are two different mailing lists, so you can sign up to both. Sometimes there are overlaps, but majority of the time they have different content. Next slide, please. Other than this, you can always follow the EGU social media. You can also follow the division social media accounts. But in the EGU social media, we will share updates You can find information on EGU activities. There will be highlight of EGU publications, blog posts, and other news. It is also possible to answer questions and have some comments from social media users. So feel free to follow EGU on Blue Sky, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or on YouTube. As I said, each division has a social media account. On EGU website, you can find the relevant division and which social media accounts that they have. So you can easily access this through this QR code as well. But we are not just limited to that. We also have a blog, as I mentioned before. We have a geolog, and each division, majority of the divisions have a blog. Here we feature new research from EGU journals, interview with geoscientists. There's also a big coverage on the latest geoscience-related news, and you can find updates on EGU activities. And if you want to get involved, you can submit a post. If you want to get involved at the division level, you can reach out to the editor of the division blog. So, as I said, it's quite overwhelming. It's very dense. I hope you find some time to have a breather so you can just get out of the conference center and just roam around in Vienna. So one thing you can do is to go and check out restaurants and cafes. Vienna has some good offerings. Or you could go and check out musical theater. The other option is actually classical music. So there's the State Opera and Vienna Philharmonics and Symphonic Orchestra. Or you can use museum and you can just get a museum ticket and just go and check out what there is. There's Natural History Museum, Schönbrunn, Belvedere, Albertina, and Hofburg museums, which are pretty good. In the past years, EGU had an sort of a deal, so it was offering 50% discount to everyone with an EGU name badge to go and see Natural History Museum. I hope that this will be again the case, so keep an eye out for that by checking the EGU25 April updates. Now we have the Q&A session.
Yes, so
you can use the Q&A box.
So I think we have limited time left, but we can approach just some of the questions we have here. One thing I want to quickly address is a question about the overlap between this year's General Assembly and it has a holiday it's interacting with as well. Yeah, this was brought up by division presidents due to feedback. I know council is aware, and it's been a bit of a discussion. Ideally, this is not something that would happen, and we try not to avoid that. However, from what insight I have into the organization on this side, these things tend to be organized quite a few years in advance, which we'd hope would avoid these delays. But the conference center, unfortunately, only has a limited selection. So sometimes this does happen, but ideally we do try to avoid it. Again, feel free to submit this feedback. It's good, I think, to add emphasis to these points. But yeah, so council are aware, but again, feel free to add this in the feedback when it comes. How does one become an early career scientist representative? Who wants to answer this? Maybe Oku, you could provide some insight, and maybe Steph as well.
Yeah, sure. So basically what I did was during pandemic, I reached out to the back then whoever the ECS representative was, and basically through some conversations, I understood what ECS representative do, and I started with just getting involved as a ECS team member, and from there I basically decided to continue as an ECS representative. One thing you can do, and I can suggest, is go reach out to your division ECS representative, because each division has a different approach, but generally there is a call that is they generally publish on EGU blogs when they are looking for a new ECS representative, or they do this call over the ECS mailing list or division mailing list. So that's why it is also useful to subscribe to the mailing list and also to the blogs. But yeah, my main advice would be go and reach out to the current ECS representative and you can get more insight.
And Steph, you became union representative through a different pathway, correct?
Yeah. So basically, I decided that I wasn't involved in the divisions beforehand. So I kind of like segued from the side into this entire thing. It was basically I had reached a point in my career where I really wanted to get involved, really to kind of like give back to the community, and was able to do that due to time constraints and other things. I was still being an early career scientist, and particularly looking at certain aspects that had come through my academic career, like how to work with people from the global south, how get them into a lot of the opportunities that otherwise they would not get through my work in Africa, and also as a mother of two, how you do this with kids. So I use these kind of topics that came to me as a motor, like as an engine to drive me towards applying myself to the position and eventually getting elected.
So a quick summary: if you want to get involved, if you want to represent your division, I suggest contacting your current early career representative for that division. Perhaps a volunteer for part of the team, understand how it works. If you want to represent early career scientists on the council and just in decision making, then you go for an election process. So maybe you want to bring your broader experience, like Steph does, then that is an elected role. So you'd have to basically nominate yourself in the summer to become the union representative. So division reps, you kind of volunteer and start working for division. There are calls out, but sometimes just joining as a team member, then joining as representative after is a good way. For the union rep on council, they are elected roles and nominations open in the summer. A couple other questions. Is the EGU25 app already available? I think it'll be published early next week. I don't have the exact dates, unfortunately, but it's typically 2 weeks before the General Assembly, so very soon. Keep your eyes open for that. So for the posters, we only need to upload the PDF of the poster before on the website. Yeah, so this is a PDF. I think you can also just do a PowerPoint, but yeah, PDF is probably the best way to do it. Upload that 24 hours beforehand, and make sure you also have a physical copy printed off as well to attend. So for all presentations, you should upload a PDF version on the website. That includes supplementary material. But for posters, of course, make sure you also have the physical side if you're presenting in person. I think that's all the questions I had, unless there's anything else people want to add.
The poster printing site is basically what the name badge pickup point is. It's just behind, so you can just go and pop up and get your printout, but you need to, again, book it in advance. You can do it even like 2 days before or 1 day before, but you can do it.
See, the less last minute you leave things, the better. Rather, being a researcher and academic, I know that's also how a lot of us operate anyway. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we've a little bit over time, but I want to say thank you for everyone who attended. Thank you for all the other speakers today, and also everyone else who helped organize. So with that, this recording will be published on a YouTube channel soon. Otherwise, I'll see you in Vienna. Bye.